next thing we're going to do is the sleeves, and we roughly traced around this diamond shape using a ruler. I'm going to do 3 diamonds on my pattern piece because I felt that was more than enough. And I did a practice over here earlier on this pink satin sleeve, but I felt that the diamonds were too low by the time we'd gathered the bottom and turned it under. We seemed to be losing the bottom of the diamonds, so I've just moved them up a bit higher on my sleeve. And I've just pinned these down, and now I'm just going to do an outline of pins around each one. And I actually have to cut it smaller than the outside. So as before on this one, I drew a line around it to show that's the size of the diamond I want to end up with. But then you have to turn it under to neaten your edge off. So you need some extra for that. So that's what I'm going to do now. So I'll be cutting in somewhere around there. Back in a moment. Okay, I've now pinned my diamonds in place, and the next thing I want to do, because I'll be left with 3 diamond shaped holes in the pink fabric, I'm going to line it with this nice white satin. Got some pretty flowers on it. I'm going to be using this for my underskirt later, for my dress. And it has to be big enough to cover all the diamonds, as you can see there. The white piece of cloth has to go underneath your sleeve. There and there. Okay. Now I'm going to, where Tracy has outlined the diamonds with the pins, I'm going to relocate them, take them out and put them back in again so they go through the white material that's underneath the sleeve. That's just to give me the shape of the diamond, and I know where I've got to cut. I should do that all the way around and to all 3 diamonds. Okay, we have our outlines for our diamonds in the pins shown. 2, 3. And we'll just turn it over to show the back. There we go. Okay, what we will do now is just cut into the top layer of the sleeve, and we're going to be cutting a line at least 1 centimetre inside the pins all the way around. Okay, the next step will be to cut open the diamond. Start somewhere in the middle, make sure that you separate the top layer from the bottom layer, and then cut 4 cuts up into the diamond corners. And then what you will be doing is cutting off a section at least 1 centimetre away from the pins on all 4 sides. And this is what it will look like after you've cut it out. Next I'm going to move all the pins out of the way temporarily, move them just a little bit further so it's still holding both sections of fabric quite still, and then turn over each of the seams from corner to corner, and they will then be pinned down to hold them. Okay, I've turned all the edges under now and pinned them down. What you'll then do is tack
and then machine stitch very close to the edge to hold them all in place.
Okay, I've now turned over the edges on my diamonds. See, just along here. Very, very tricky to do when you're already turning over a very, very thin piece of fabric. I've done that on all of them, just neaten the edges off. I won't believe in it like that. What I plan to do next, and I did my other sleeve early, which, well, it took me 5 days, but I'll say earlier, is I went round it in all these lovely 4mm wide Gutterman pearls. Just sewed those on around the edges, like so. So that's what I'm going to do to my other sleeve. I just thought it'd make it look a bit prettier. What comes in handy is one of these embroidery rings, which I used for when I used to do cross stitch pattern many years ago. And just put your little hoop under and then your big hoop on the top. And obviously you have the device here for opening your ring to pull your fabric tight in between the two. You have to excuse me because I'm filming this by myself, so I obviously can't do two things at the same time. But you get my meaning. It just helps when I was sewing on the pearls around the edges, and it helps keep your fabric not too tight. You don't want to put it too tight, but you know, it holds it. So you can easily then sew your beads in, like so. Okay, I've now finished sewing on my pearls on both my sleeves. Obviously at the back of the sleeve we still have this patch of white, this big white square I shown earlier on in the video. I just need to just go around and cut around the general shape of my diamond, but don't cut too close to here because then otherwise that's all your work will be ruined. So just left, you know, a couple of centimetres, just helps cut them out of the way really. That's where we are for now.
Okay, I've put a running stitch along the bottom, ready to gather up the bottom part when that is ready to do. But first of all I needed to make an inner sleeve, which is a lot tighter than this. So the way I went about it was, I reduced the top, and I know from a previous fitting that it takes 3 small darts at the top to make it fit on Tracy, like that. And then I've got to reduce the whole of this so it fits around the bottom of her arm. So what I did was I took some really decent gathers, that. And then I tried this on Tracy's arm to see if that would go around her arm comfortably, like a normal sleeve would be. You don't want it too tight, but then you don't want it too loose either. So adjust the gathers to fit the arm with a little bit of room in there for movement. Then when you lay it out like this, you've more or less got a sleeve pattern if you go in from the top, Trace, like that. So you've got more or less got your sleeve pattern there. So what I did was put it on some scrap material first, and then I drew a sleeve shape more or less the shape of it, like that. I can't show you how I did it now, but I think you get the idea. You have actually got the sleeve shape already there for you. So I cut out a scrap one first to try it, to see if it would go up over her arm to the top, and also to see if it would go round her arm at the bottom. And then that was my template to make the inner sleeve. Right, now we're going to fit the sleeves onto the bodice. Now the sleeves have a short section at the front and the longer section at the back, so don't get them mixed up. And they're going to be sewn into the bodice and sewn down the seam underneath. And you'll be doing both of those.
Okay, we've sewn our sleeves onto the outer bodice. Yep. So they've all been sewn as normal. And over here I have my lining, and I've done exactly the same things. We've sewn that inner sleeve on that we were showing you earlier. Now we're going to put the right side of the bodice, that's the outside, to the outside of the lining, like so. Next thing we have to do then is pin, like Mum's doing now, is pin right across the top so you're sandwiching the two together. Okay, just to quickly show you, after I last showed you, I pinned all the way across the top the garment, pinning the lining to the outer layer, the nice pink side, and I then went and tapped, and I've sewn all the way along as so. That's the inside of the sleeve here. I've sewn all the way across the top there on the machine, and all the way across there and to the end. And that's it for now.
Okay, now that we've sewn the two items together along the top, we're left with some curves. So the first thing we've got to do is cut into the curves. Being careful not to cut any of the stitching. Okay, this is what the inside of the sleeve looks like at the moment. We've got our running stitch which runs around the outside sleeve, and then we've put in a piece of wadding. This will depend on how long your sleeve is as to how deep the wadding will be. So that's a little bit of trial and error, but once you've got it right, the wadding then will go around the inside, and inside here we have the inner sleeve, and what's going to happen is that the gathering stitch will be pulled in, and then it will be attached to the inner sleeve all the way round. Okay, Tracy wants to show how the sleeves are progressing now that we've finished them, and there's a lot of work yet to do. As you can see from the back, I haven't done any detail to that yet because that's not the next step. We're going to be putting the skirt on next, but this is what the finished result now looks like. If Tracy just puts her arm up, you can see how the inside sleeve is attached to the outside sleeve, giving you a little bit of room still to move around. Thank you, Tracy.